Hey there, YouTube. First, I want to just apologize for the rough around the edges video here, but kind of something interesting, a situation that I had come up. So, I've been looking for some larger packs. So, this is the Osprey Aether 85, and then the Mystery Ranch Terraplane, which is an 80-liter-ish pack, and then I have the Bridger over there, the Mystery Ranch Bridger 65, just for a comparison. But there's not a ton of information out there on these larger packs. A lot of it's more dated or more hunting oriented, whereas I'll be kind of talking about more backpacking related. So I just wanted to bring you guys this video comparing these two packs. They're similarly priced, similar in literage. The Osprey was $450, I believe, and then the Mystery Ranch is about the same as MSRP on their website, but I was able to get this from Steep and Cheap for about $300. And so I did a little bit of testing. So you can see here I've got lots of water just for testing. I've got sleeping mat, a fake sleeping bag there, just filled with air pocket packaging, a pound of stuff there, 2 liters of water bottle, and then a Ergonomics speed stool. And I loaded both of these packs up equally in the same configuration, and then I stood around my house for about 10, 15, 20 minutes, played with some of the adjustments. I'm just going to bring you guys along for just a comparison, show you what features these packs both share, and then my opinions as far as some of the nuances between them. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I think I'm going to go ahead and start with the harness, suspension, and comfort systems of these packs, which ultimately is my deciding factor on which one of these to keep. I'm going to return one and keep the other. So looking at the weight, each one of these small bottles is about 1 pound, 2 pounds each for the 1 liter smart water bottles, a pound for the speed stool, a pound for the sleeping bag. So you're looking at about 15 pounds all loaded up. Usually my weight in these is about 25 pounds depending on how heavy the tent is. So I'm going to start off with the one I got first, which was the Mystery Ranch Terraplane 80. This is a large framed harness. It's a large size there. That's a better kind of term for it. Something about this pack, I love the Bridger 65, the way the harness system works. I know it looks a little dumb, but there's other videos out there that describe this pack. The way the weight is distributed with these larger shoulder harnesses here, and for me personally, the way this lumbar works, these pads here contact more of my hips, and then the belts on this side. Sorry for the shaky camera. I know this is a really unprofessional video, so if you're looking for final production, all that, you'll look somewhere else, but this is just a rough and dirty video. But these wrap around my hips, and the way this carries is absolutely fantastic. I've never used a pack that carries as well as the Bridger. So coming back to these larger packs, obviously these are just normal shoulder belts or shoulder harnesses. They're not the wide distribution. As you can see, the wide contact patch. There's just something about the Mystery Ranch that just didn't suit well for me. My back is just probably different. Every body style is different, but I've tried this harness system in multiple different locations. I've tried it as short as it'll go, as tall as it'll go, and this is about as comfortable as I can get it right now. Ultimately, it comes down to this lumbar cushion pillow being too stiff for me. Whereas the Bridger doesn't even have a lumbar pillow, and I don't miss it. So that maybe if you have a more curvy back, potentially you'll have more room in the curve of your back for this to seat into. Mine maybe is a little bit more flatter of a lumbar curve, and so what happens is the entire weight of the pack, once the hip belts are cinched down, pushes off of this tiny lumbar support, and for some reason, no matter how short I get this to go, it always seems to slip down to the lowest part of my hips, where my pants ride, and then where kind of the hip joint attaches, where those two bones are in the back of your hips, basically. So there was just always something with this pack. And also, you can see here, I've got the load lifters. This is kind of how I usually carry it compared to the Bridger. The load lifters are usually, or the straps are usually kind of arched for me. And Another thing is that these straps, they ride, at least for, I mean, this is all personal, experience here. Your body type may be different. It rides here on my shoulders way more, and then on the outer side, it's actually, you can fit fingers underneath about halfway through. So again, you have the entire weight of the pack riding on my lower hips, pushing down, kind of on my tailbone section, and then the other half of it is kind of in one-ish spot on both sides. Another thing I noticed, my back didn't contact the backboard, which is kind of common for these larger packs. Not since there's no lumbar on the Bridger, my back contacts more of that harness system, and it's just more comfortable. But that is kind of just a heads up. My experience with the Mystery Ranch Terraplane, that lumbar cushion was just too stiff for me. And as you can see, probably I have taken the hip belts apart, and you can re-velcro these wings. I tried to mirror the Bridger wings. As you can see, there's more of an angle, and they're bigger on the Bridger, and they kind of push the pack, pushes your back into the pack a little bit more, and then the weight is distributed more evenly along your back. Versus here, this is about as far as I can get these out, and yet hugs it a little bit better, but it is just too much pressure. And there's something with any setting I had it on, the bag seemed to always ride down my back. So if I stood for 15 minutes, the lumbar cushion always would kind of push down and just make a sore spot on my lower hips, and then it would kind of push down on my tailbone region. So that's the Mystery Ranch harness system. I'm going to take you over to the Osprey and then discuss my findings there. Okay, so we're back with the Osprey pack here, and we're going to talk about its ergonomics. And I'm just going to tell you straight up, I love the fit of that Mystery Ranch Bridger pack. I love it. I have to say, though, compared to these two packs, this was way, way more comfortable just straight out of the pack for me. And you can see how, again, I have these both where I last tested them out. So the shoulder straps here are arched and stuff like that. Ultimately, what it came down to for me, and it looks, you can almost kind of see it just by looking at it. The lumbar pad on the Osprey is simply put, it's flatter, but it's what more is it's larger. If you look at the Mystery Ranch, it's small. You come over here to the Osprey, you can see just there's my hand width almost on the entire lumbar support, and if I put it here, you can see I've got a lot down there, and I've got still some more that it's flattening out up here, and it's not as rounded. Now the cushion here, you can even see, has broken in a little bit, but I've been trying this on and off for days. I've had this pack actually for a couple weeks now, and then I finally got this one in about the same. I've got this at least 5 days now, and I've been trying to figure out which one I wanted to keep. But when I put this on, put all the water weight and the weight of it in, stood around my house for 15 minutes, it was just more comfortable in the back. What I found is it rides a little bit higher up. You can kind of see the lumbar cushion there rides physically lower on the pack, whereas this one starts here and it ends here. The Mystery Ranch starts lower and goes lower, and that's where it was contacting my hip bones on the back. So it rides higher, and because it's flatter, it doesn't push into your back. It kind of conforms to a more flatter back like mine, I suppose, and you feel that. It feels like it wants to keep your back straight, whereas the Mystery Ranch, because it's so small and it's pushing in, it actually feels better if you lean forward in that pack, and that's not good for posture. As far as the hip belts go, honestly, I felt the Mystery Ranch looks a lot more comfortable. Surprisingly, the Osprey was equally as comfortable in my opinion. Also with the Osprey, I found actually that these shoulder straps, again, excuse the shoddy camera work, these are actually thicker than the Mystery Ranch. I don't know how. Maybe it's because they're a softer material. They feel more cushy to me than the Mystery Ranch. They feel a little bit more thin. And again, we come back to this rode on the outside of my shoulder almost all the way, whereas these, they did not. And you can actually see it a little bit. This is more rounded, whereas if you look here on the Mystery Ranch, it's more of a square cut. And so that's that square cut really kind of dug into my shoulders there a little bit. Another thing I will mention, I of course love the Bridger and I love the Mystery Ranch packs. Osprey has them a little bit beat when it comes to customization of the fit between these two packs. With both the Bridger and the Terraplane, you adjust the entire yoke system as one unit. Whereas on this particular, I don't know all of the Osprey line, but on this particular line, for me, my shoulder on this side, it's more rounded. It's not as square as the left shoulder. And so what you can do with this pack is you can adjust the torso length on one side. Now, yeah, it'll kind of make it not even, but it conforms to my shoulders a bit more is all I'm saying. You can tweak side to side which torso length you want. So I might have this maybe 1/4 of an inch down to form my more rounded shoulder on this side, and this side I'm gonna have up. Whereas on the Mystery Ranch, it's all one, and so you can't really do that. Other than that, though, I haven't yet messed with the customizations. You can pull this little felt section out and extend it down if it was rubbing you. Same with the hip belts. You can see it right there. You can pull this hip belt out and make it longer or shorter. Out of the box, though, it fit me. I'm, for reference, 6 foot, 120 pounds, and the bag just fit. It just fit much better. Unfortunately, I like the Mystery Ranch pack, but the Osprey fit better. So now I'm gonna kind of go over features on both, similarities, differences, and quirks on both. So I'm gonna transition to the Mystery Ranch real quick, just to discuss it real fast. All right, I'm back with both packs now. Excuse me, the Osprey pack may fall over. So again, this is real shoddy, just down and dirty, kind of telling you how it is. So the features that I like more about the Mystery Ranch, there it goes. Let me fix that. Okay, my apologies. So the features I like more about the Mystery Ranch pack are this. I like the easy to access external torpedo pockets. These are perfect for the Speed Stool. Now, what I found I didn't even know was they're large, of course, but the Osprey also has, if you pull this flap back, and they don't really advertise this very much, it's the same thing. You can kind of see there, it's just one big pocket right here that you can stick the Speed Stool or your chair or whatever into that perfect. So both packs have these torpedo pockets. Don't think that Mystery Ranch is exclusive. They are, I would probably say, about the same size. The Mystery Ranch maybe a tiny bit larger. The things I like about the Mystery Ranch more than the Osprey, their thoughtfulness. This pull tab for two-handed operation on the zipper is fantastic. They have these kind of all over the place, especially on the lid. You can see it right here. So if I were to go to do these zips, I can easily hold with this one, with this hand, and unzip the zip. And I'll show you on the Osprey how that's not the case. Both lids are detachable, both transition into day packs. Excuse me, they all kind of want to fall over when they're not full. So both lids are removable. The Osprey does have, and I'll show you, you can remove the lid and there's a little flap that will go over it to keep it water resistant, to save weight if you don't need the lid. Other things I like more about the Mystery Ranch are the water bottle pockets. They're low. They are real, the elastic's real tough compared to the Bridger, but the Mystery Ranch series favors these lower water bottle pockets. Let me get you, excuse the shoddy camera work. Here is a smart bottle for reference, and with the pack on, I can easily grab this. It's, you gotta be a little bit flexible, but I can easily grab this, drink it, and put it back. Now, of course, depending on the size of your sleeping bag in the bottom, it may push out, it may be kind of hard to get back in. The other thing I like are the attachment straps. They're nice, they're beefy, they're long-ish enough. I have the Hilleberg Enon and the Rogan. The Rogan, it can kind of fit. For the Bridger, I have some strap extensions. These, in fact, to extend from there to there on the Bridger. Now, I haven't personally put the Rogan on this pack. I did on the Osprey and they fit, so I think it would probably fit. But that's just something to keep in mind. These straps can be a little short if you have big bulky things. I love the daisy chain on the back. That would be perfect for trekking poles, but also be perfect if you had, say, something that needed to go right there, that would be good. If you had like a external food bag or snack bag, if you were really full. Other thing I like on the inside, I won't show you because it's just so dark. On the sleeping bag compartment, that divider flap has clips. On the Osprey, it has threaded webbing. So I've undone it on the Osprey, but if you wanted to use that sleeping bag flap, undo it, redo it, undo it, you have to thread it through one of these. I don't have a good example right now, but you have to thread it through a buckle, a slide buckle, and that could be hard to do from the inside of the pack where there's not much light. Other than that, the Mystery Ranch does not come with hip belt pockets. And they're kind of pricey if you go with the Mystery Ranch. I think for a set of hip belt pockets is almost at least $40, maybe even $50 with shipping. But the thing I do like about the Bridger, and I can't attest to the sold separately hip belt pockets, but one-handed open and close, and this is on the Bridger again, one-handed open and close. I love that. That's kind of it for the Mystery Ranch pack. It's just, they're both very similar. The thing I like more, the side compression straps are both clippable. There we go. On the words, on the Osprey, this lower compression strap isn't clippable. The upper one is. Moving over to the Osprey pack, the one thing I noticed, it's a pro and con, the attachment straps for the lower portion if you wanted to put a tent here, and I've put the Enon and the Rogan. You'll notice how long the strap is, and it's just big enough for a Enon or a bigger two-person tent. The thing is that the strap is kind of small. I don't think there'll be any issues with breaking, but I believe this is I want to say a 7/8 or a 3/4. I think it's 7/8. This is a pretty small buckle strap. So it's small, but I don't think you would have any problems with tearing. And if you don't need them, which also doubles as a cool feature, you can remove it. What that also allows you to do is, if you needed a longer strap, you could easily just buy 7/8 webbing and just add your own. You know, make this strap longer, and you don't have to deal with the trying to track down the buckles. For example, on the Mystery Ranch, this side of the buckle is sewn into the bottom of the pack, so you have to find the correct buckle, and I've done this, find the correct female buckle on this end and the male buckle on this end, and that can be a pain just to track down specialty use buckles like that. What I like about the Osprey, you've got the two side torpedo pockets, same thing as the Mystery Ranch. You can get into the inside of the pack, same as their Mystery Ranch, through these top zips, and it kind of folds out a little bit. The Mystery Ranch is a side zip. They're both the same, but it has this front stretchy pocket. And it's a little bit mesh. It's not a ton of mesh you can see there, but that's pretty helpful that the Mystery Ranch didn't have. Trying to think of other things real quick before I get into the negatives. The sleeping bag compartment I probably won't use. The Mystery Ranch is way easier to get into. It does have a rain cover. I haven't tested it, but I read reviews. If you're going to put a tent, you're going to need a bigger rain cover. It's pretty tight. Let me flip the pack. Okay, real quick. Other thing I don't like about the newer Osprey packs is for the draw sleeve, they use this dumb fastener attachment. You know, usually they have the buttons, and you have to pull this or you have to yank the cord. I find you just can't do it easily. You have to pull this up, and it's under a spring-loaded tension, so it always wants to go back down on the shock cord or on the draw cord. So you have to really put some pressure and hold this up and then pull this. Now I'll show you how I got around that. I have my day hiking pack. It's another Osprey one, and it had the same kind of dumb attachment, and I didn't like it. And so all you have to do, again, sorry for the shoddy camera work, all you have to do is just unthread the knot, and you can get these traditional draw cords on Amazon for cheap, and that allows you to cinch it like normal, and it's much easier. I would recommend doing that. They're just a frustrating design. Now let me see if I can do this real time. Again, sorry for the shoddy camera work. My other con of this pack is this lower compression strap in the water bottle pockets. Where's my liter of water? So there's a typical smart water bottle pocket. And just as it is too high. You can even see there, compared to the Mystery Ranch, it's too high. You cannot reach behind you and grab this almost at all. You can kind of push up and get it out that way. You can also, though, reach in and grab it this way and pull it kind of out like that. But the problem comes in is if you tension down the side compression strap, you're not getting that bottle out. And I mean, that's okay if maybe you have, you don't need it, but for a 1 liter, let me try and stuff this in the side pocket so I don't make you sick here real quick. Okay, there we go. So for a 1 liter water bottle, you can see, at least a smart water bottle, how far this protrudes out. And walking around my house with trekking poles, my arms brush up against this, and that can be very frustrating. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do about that. You can put it in like that, maybe just leave these loose, and then you can grab it the other way. My other thought is, for example, let me cut and show you this as well, is that you can fit just a normal Nalgene bottle into the pocket pretty easily. And as you can see there, you can pull it up, and that will alleviate that issue of brushing up against it. If you really wanted to, you could get a 700 milliliter bottle, probably, of the smart water bottles, and dump your water from your 1 liters into that and use that as your main drinking and pull it out that way. Because again, if you look at it close enough, when you do this compression in, it's going to snatch the bottle, the way you're not going to be able to get the bottle out. But if you put it in sideways, let me see if I can, just for demonstration, if you put it in sideways, you'll notice it won't be compressed. You can get the bottle in and out fine. But that's just kind of a con. I'm probably going to have to use as like my main drinking bottle, either a Nalgene or a 700 milliliter or smaller smart water bottle, and just leave it empty half the time. It only adds an ounce, and then I would just share the water from the 2 liters, or if I carry more, and dump it into that. Other than that, the lids are pretty similar. Again, for example, on the Osprey, it has these loops that you can hold on and attach things to, but it doesn't have those tabs on either side where you can put your hand and then do the zipper. They're a little bit hard to get to. Another slight con is the hip belt pockets. The flap is what makes it difficult. It's hard to do one-handed. And if you go back, of course it does it, but if you were to, on the other side, for example, I've been messing with it. If you were to do that, see, it kind of gets stuck as it tries to go over. Now, you may not need it to go over the rounded part, but the flap makes it difficult to get in and out of the hip belt pockets. They are of a good size, though. I can fit my navigation phone. It's kind of old, kind of small, but it still fits in the pocket fine. But it's a pro and con. Versus, for example, the Bridger, where the zipper is exposed, you have this weather flap, so it's going to be water resistant, not proof. So if you're in a rain, your rain pack isn't going to cover these hip belt pockets, but with that rain flap, it at least prevents some of the water from getting in through the zipper. If I pan over here real quick, you can see that zipper's fully exposed and the pockets are actually mesh, so those wouldn't fare too well in a downpour. But ultimately, guys, that's kind of my overview of these packs. I'm not, as you can tell, partial to one brand or the other. I love my Bridger. I love my day pack, especially the Hike Light 18 is a fantastic pack. But ultimately, I'm going to probably go with the Osprey for my larger expedition pack. And let me say real quick, I'm only using these packs for 35, maybe 40 at my heaviest. The biggest thing is that 0 degree sleeping bag which you can see there. I'm a very cold sleeper, and I need something that can handle that fluff. Even in a tighter compression bag than that one, it still takes up a lot of room, And then you add on 3-4 days of food, plus puffy jackets, plus extra layers at night. Again, I hate the cold, but I love going out in the winter because there's no overgrowth and stuff like that. And so that's where my use case for these comes in. If you're looking at hauling 100 pounds or 80 or whatever, you might look at the Mystery Ranch. They're more of those load haulers. I'm not saying that the Ospreys aren't, but that's just what I've heard. That's kind of been my experience with it. If you want to haul super heavy stuff, the Mystery Ranch, they kind of have the edge on that right now. Osprey, I think, is fantastic. They may not handle that weight as good once you get up past like 40, 50, 60 pounds, but I don't know. I have absolutely no experience with that. Ultimately, the Osprey was more comfortable just straight out of the box. I knew it's worth trying on. Unfortunately, most of the stores you go to, even REIs, they're not going to have both of these packs. And that's kind of where I just wanted to throw. I know this video is super rough and it's super long now, but I wanted to throw up some comparisons because you don't see this a lot. There's not a lot of forum posts. A lot of them are older. Another thing I want to talk about real quick, I believe this pack, the Mystery Ranch, is almost 7 pounds. The Bridger in large is 5.5 pounds. The Osprey in large, these are both large packs, by the way, I think it's like 6 or 5.8, but I think it's like 6.2. So it's only within half a pound of a 65-liter Mystery Ranch pack. If you take care of your gear, and like me, I clean this pack every time I come back from a trip. I towel off where the dirt was, I clean it up. I make sure not to overload it. I make sure there's nothing pointy that's going to tear. You're going to be fine with the Osprey. But if you throw your gear around, or you throw it, especially like, for example, in the bed of a truck or something like that, where there's going to be a lot of abrasion, Mystery Ranch durability is a little bit more durable. Again, though, it comes down to that fit. My back just preferred the design of that lumbar support and that back panel a little bit more than the Mystery Ranch and that smaller lumbar cushion. So again, it always goes back to, if you can try them on in store. In this case, I got the Mystery Ranch in from Steep and Cheap I thought it was a smoking hot deal. I thought I'd be happy. But man, wearing it around, that lumbar just digging in, there's way too much pressure there, I knew. And once I got the Osprey in, because I didn't want to return the Mystery Ranch before I tried out another pack. That's why I'm, again, kind of in this unique use case. But anyway, I've been rambling for long enough. I hope this guy's maybe helped you out a little bit, gave you some insight into the differences. And really similarities between the pack. They're very similar, but just a few differences. Anyway, other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it to this part of the video, thank you. You're hanging in there doing your research. So anyway, talk to you guys later.